The following story has been brought to you by StoriesToInspire.org.
There was once a town, and the way this town operated was that they had a committee, and they used to make a joke out of people. So what they would do is every single year, they would go to another country, smuggle somebody in, they would drug him, they'd bring him to the palace on their island, they'd put him on the royal bed with the royal clothing right next to him, and when they undrugged him, he would wake up and he'd find himself in a palace. Where am I? What am I doing here? And then all the soldiers and all the guards, the committee members that were disguised, they said, Your Majesty, you're the king. You weren't feeling well, but everything is fine now. Please continue to build this beautiful island. What? 2 days, 3 days. Finally, he was convinced. You know what? I guess I am a king. I guess I am here to build. And all of a sudden, he starts building more palaces on the island. And he starts helping the entire country, all the people that were there on this beautiful island and the country that he was on. And then after a year was over, they would drug him. They'd send him back from where he came from in his clothing that he came onto the island originally. And then he would wake up. He's like, where in the world am I? Where's my palace? And the people would look at him like he's funny. They look at him like he's crazy. Your palace? What are you talking about? Yeah, I was just the king. Where's my royal bed? Where's my guards? And the man was completely confused. And people looked at him like he's nuts. You're not a king. What are you talking about? And every year, that's a joke they would play. And they would get a lot of benefits from the king that was there for the year with his wonderful ideas on how to improve the entire industry. One year, they picked on the wrong person. They got somebody. They drugged him. They put him on the bed. And sure enough, when he was undrugged, he wakes up and they start playing the same joke on him. Your Majesty, please build, help. Your people need you. He realized something's very wrong over here. Where am I? What am I doing here? So he went along with it for a few days, deep down inside knowing this is really not where I belong. I know I'm not the king here. So he called over one of the guards and he said, please do me a favor. Could you tell me who in the world I am and what am I doing here? He said, Your Majesty, you're the king. This is your island, this is your continent, this is your country, this is your people. Please build. He takes out a sword and he puts it by his neck. And he says, if I'm the king, then I will kill you if you don't tell me the truth. So he says, Your Majesty, you're really not a king. Exactly this date, they're going to send you back to where you came from. This is the name of your original town. This is what you used to do. And that's where you belong. And he says, thank you very much. The next day when the whole committee and everyone came to him, Your Majesty, what are we doing today? What's on the agenda? He said, I'd like you to send 2 boats of gold to that country. Your Majesty, but this is your continent. This is where you belong. I said to that country. Okay, Your Majesty, no problem. And you know what? As a matter of fact, if you could please send a lot of iron, I also want to build a palace over there. And every day he would send ships of diamond and gold and silver. They couldn't wait to get rid of him. At the end of the year, they drugged him again. They sent him back to where he came from. And when he woke up, he found himself in a palace. He found himself surrounded with tremendous otzarot, wealth, because he invested in the right place. Not where he's going to be for a few years, or even less than a year. Rather, where he's going to be for a lot longer. Ezehu hacham, our rabbis tell us. Who is the wise man? Haro'eh et hanolad. To be a great chess player. You can't just think one move ahead. If you want to beat Kasparov, trust me, you're not thinking 50 moves ahead. You have to think a lot more if you think you're going to be the greatest chess player. A wise businessman needs to know how to anticipate and to play out many different possibilities. He has to anticipate the future, what could be. Who's a wise man? Hachamim are teaching us, Haro'eh tanolad. Think long term. Don't think short term. A few years ago, our oldest daughter, she was crying. She was a baby at the time. So I said, you know what? She's crying in the crib. Rabbi spoke about Ben Adam Lahaviru, how you have to care. So I went in and I said, I'm going to go save the day. I'll take her out. Usually daddy's the one that takes out the girls. I was like, oh, keep her in, keep her in. I'll go get her. After that time, she also wanted me to take her out. Nap time finished. She's ready to come out. Bajanin. So I opened the door of the room. I'm walking in like a hero. Here I am. Daddy's here to save the day. And as I walk in, my daughter, who's facing the door that I entered from, standing by the crib and crying, sees me coming into the door, starts taking all the toys from the crib and throwing it at me. Hi, Bashum. Mabstahi. Where's the derech eretz? I'm thinking, what kind of chinuch is this? What's going on? What is she doing? Taking all the toys and throwing it one by one. The little tykes, the Fisher Price, the big toys, throwing it at me. I said, well, she's fire. Throw it at mommy. I'm coming to save you. What are you throwing it at me for? I grab her, I take it out of the crib, and then I go to my wife and I said, you're never going to believe it. I went to go save her. When she sees me, instead of taking me and stopping to cry, she takes her toys and she starts throwing it at me. What kind of nonsense is that? She says she wasn't throwing her toys at you. I says, what do you mean? I walked in and she was taking all her toys and throwing it right at me, if anything. She says she wasn't throwing it at you. She saw you coming to take her out and she realized in 5 seconds, she's going to be outside the crib and her favorite toys are going to be inside the crib. How in the world is she going to play with those wonderful toys? So she started taking the toys and throwing it out so that when you take her out, she'll have what to play with. I said, a little girl could think of that? She was able to think, want to move ahead. Ezehu Hacham, who's the wise man? Think where you're going to be, where you're going, where are you investing? Torah and mitzvot, the greatest investment that we have. People are investing in this world. And then there's people that are investing in the real estate. The greatest investment is a second where a person could turn it into eternity by learning Torah, doing mitzvot, getting so close to Borei Olam. Ezehu Hacham, haro'eh tanolad.
Enjoyed this story? Come again. Bring a friend. StoriesToInspire.org